welcome back to the second video in this year's series of videos for EDS Awareness Month. I'm Chronically Jenni, and every year I try and bring together as many zebras as I can from across the world to celebrate Ehlers Danlos Awareness Month and help you learn just a little bit about EDS. For this week's video, I've asked my incredible dazzle of zebras to tell me a little bit about someone they admire who has Ehlers Danlos Syndrome or Hypermobility Spectrum Disorder. It could be a friend, a teacher, a family member, a colleague, a celebrity, or an influencer. I thought it would be great to hear about loads of amazing people with EDS and HSD doing incredible things to inspire others, and maybe you can find someone you didn't know about. I hope you enjoy this video and learn a little something about someone with EDS and HSD, and maybe go and give them a follow. You can also follow everyone in this video by heading to their social media, which is in the description below. We're an amazing community out there, and remember, if you have EDS or HSD, you're not alone. Just listen to this lot.
Someone I admire a lot is Dr. Jaime Bravo. He's a Chilean rheumatologist and the only specialist in Chile about Ehlers Danlos Syndrome and dysautonomy. He has Ehlers Danlos Syndrome himself, and he has done some research and diagnosed several patients, me included. So I will always be thankful with him because he was the only one who could help me when no one else could, and he was the only one who gave me answers when I was already losing hope.
I really admire Annabelle's Challenge, the charity over in the UK for vascular Ehlers Danlos syndrome. They do a great job, and they really help support families and individuals who are affected by VEDS.
An influencer or a celebrity that I admire with EDS is Michaela Delgado. She's an artist called Yours Truly, and she released a song called I Can't Feel about her experience with EDS, and I feel like it's very relatable to anyone who has EDS, especially in flare-ups, and so I feel like it's a good way to try and understand that, so go listen to it.
Person I admire with EDS would be Louise Lightfoot. I met her through my local group meetings, and she wrote the children's book Ezra's Extraordinary Stripes. This helps children with an EDS diagnosis and also with other invisible illnesses. Every time I see her, she's always so positive.
Somebody that I admire with EDS would be Jamila Jamil. I think she uses her platform and her celebrity status for a really good cause. I think she uses it to spread awareness of really important issues, one of which is chronic illness, but there are so many that she helps raise awareness for, and I think that is really admirable considering she does all that while dealing with this as well.
Jamila Jamil. Many of you probably heard of her from The Good Place. So she plays Tahani in that. I loved her, having watched The Good Place already. So when she made it public that she had Ehlers Danlos, I was like, oh, we're the same. So that was very exciting. But I love how confident she is to speak her mind and call people out on things across the spectrum. You know, she will say what she is thinking and call people out on their stuff. She's so open about her condition and shares the ups and the downs, which is something I'm really passionate about. Social media is awful for spreading this idea that everybody's lives are perfect, and it's a really toxic environment if you're really struggling. So it's something that I've always aspired to do, is share the ups and the downs as best as I can, and seeing somebody in such a high position like Jamila Jamil doing that and really pushing to make people aware of Ehlers Danlos is just so admirable. So yeah, she's just brilliant.
In terms of like a celebrity, I really admire Jamila Jamil because you know, I didn't know she had EDS when I first started watching The Good Place, and essentially when I did find out, I realised I can do anything I want to do, and it's a nice place to be.
Evie Oddly from RuPaul's Drag Race season 11, and she went on to win her series. I absolutely admire her because she was the first person on TV that I could really connect to and was so open and honest about having EDS and the struggles that gave her in the competition. But she never moaned, she just talked about it openly and honestly and was enjoying doing what she loves while she still can, knowing that it might not last forever. She's a special kind of zebra strong, and I really look up to that.
I know it's Jenni who put together this video, but Jenni is someone in the EDS community that inspires me. She is amazing at raising awareness for this illness and making others know and understand what it's really like to have this condition.
I admire Jenni because she keeps this YouTube channel going, and she's just completed university, and they're things that I really aspire to do, and I'm starting uni in September, and I just hope that, like Jenni, I can complete it.
I admire a few people on YouTube who have EDS, and one of those people in particular is Chronically Jenni. She shows us that we don't have to hide when we have pain days, when we're struggling with the fact that we have a chronic illness at all. She shows us that this is normal for part of the world, for part of the population. And we shouldn't have to hide who we are just because of other people or the reaction or potential reaction of other people. She shows us that struggling, while, painful, isn't something that we have to hide from. She shows us the good days and the bad days, not just what we want to see. And I think that's important because a lot of people forget that, with this illness, there's a lot of pain and a lot of struggle, but we don't have to hide that from the rest of the world just because we're scared of what they think, because it's part of our lives, part of what we have to deal with. So why should we hide that?
Jenni, Izzy, Emily Fisher, and so many others as influencers have been doing such an amazing job through digital platforms in representing what it can be like to live with the syndrome.
Somebody who I admired a lot was Chronically Jackie. First of all, she was a really fantastic friend to me, but she was just so confident in her life and everything she did, and she took life as it came. She wasn't scared, necessarily. She wasn't sitting, thinking about all the possibilities. She was just, dealing with things as they came her way, and in the meantime, enjoying life.
Someone I admire who has EDS would be Chronically Jackie. She died last year, and she was a big influence in my journey to diagnosis, and she was just a good influence on my life for a long time. So rest in peace, Jackie.
It's incredibly hard for me to choose just one person to talk about here, because I could talk about so many people with EDS and HSD who I admire and who inspire me every day. But this video would just be very, very long and no one else would be allowed to speak. So I am going to talk about one of the original people who really, really inspired me, especially to keep vlogging. I'd only just started my channel when I discovered Christina Doherty, and I just think she is incredible. She was one of the first people that showed me online that it was all right to have a bad day and show it, because that's what happens and that's real life. And I just think she's brilliant, so go check her out.
One of the many people I admire of those that have Ehlers Danlos Syndrome is actually Christina, also known as on her Instagram, Watercolor Me Impressed. She has a YouTube channel, Christina Doherty, Life and Living with Ehlers Danlos Syndrome. She is super resilient, and her story just made me, I guess, realize and kind of gave me more of a starting point as to what might be going on with me when I was first looking for a diagnosis. So I admire that. Well, I admire her in general.
So someone that I admire with EDS, she's a YouTuber and her name is Jessica Kellgren-fozard. And so she lives with EDS and several other chronic illnesses. And I really admire her humor and the way that she brings awareness to the invisible illness and disabled communities. And she does it in such a way that is so relatable, and she highlights issues that many people who don't have chronic illness or other disabilities just may not understand or may not think of. And yeah, I just love the way that she does that.
Someone that I personally admire from the EDS community is my friend Samantha. She is the one that helped me get diagnosed, and she is kind of my EDS guru. Whenever I have any issues or new symptoms, I go to her first, and I just hugely admire her because she is the epitome of strength, and I've learned a lot from her.
One person I admire with EDS is my friend Naomi.
Someone that I admire with Ehlers Danlos is my friend Danielle. She lives in Chicago. She has a crazy amount of things put on her, and she's always so strong, and she's always so resilient no matter what goes on.
Martina, as a person with EDS, does not hide that she has her challenges with it, but doesn't let that define her as a person as well. And her spouse, Simon, after mine, of course, is the dearest in the world. It is in the balance between these people and others that I get inspired in the different areas of my life.
The one person with EDS that I especially admire is Laura Bloom, the founder and CEO of the Ehlers Danlos Society. Thank you, Laura, for sharing awareness, for changing lives and giving better opportunities to patients and doctors.
I really admire Laura Bloom as activist and her role on the changes of how EDS and HSD has been represented in our society and in the medical community.
Laura Bloom from the Ehlers Danlos Society. She's a great role model and inspiration, and I love following her work as well.
And I admire Laura Bloom with the Ehlers Danlos Society the most because she is like us, and she is a zebra going through everything, all the pain, and she still inspires and does so much for our community.
Well, I'm lucky in that I have the opportunity to work with many, many people with EDS every day. And I have to say, I admire every single one of them. They're not celebrities, they're not influencers, but they are people who really, really want to get Zebra strong. They do the work, they're committed, they're dedicated, and they find a way. And working with these people has really inspired me, and I'm so, so grateful for that opportunity. So that's who I admire.
Thank you so much for watching this week's video. I hope you have found some people to inspire you even further in your EDS and HSD awareness journey. If you've liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, I'd love it if you'd hit subscribe, and I will see you next week for another video. Spoons and love.